Welcome to the Trending XR podcast, where we discuss the latest in augmented reality, virtual reality, and AI with industry leaders who are shaping the future of how we will work, socialize, and go about our daily lives in the third dimension. In the not-so-distant future, we won't even be using phones. We'll be using these. I know, sounds crazy, but we have never been closer to this future concept becoming our current reality. I am so excited to share this new world with you. I hope to teach you, inspire you, and ignite your passion for extended reality. It's time to change dimensions. Are you coming? Welcome back to Trending XR. Today's episode is special because we're not talking to one guest, we're talking to 6 on a panel discussion surrounding XR for the built environment. This panel was made up of XR industry professionals, including the founder of the largest XR conference in the world, to several XR leads at prominent space exploration companies. This conversation revolved around XR for the built environment, aka how XR fits into the BIM and AEC spaces. But we do hit topics like XR in manufacturing, Gaussian splatting, and hardware developments. I know you'll find this entertaining and informative. Thanks for being here, and also don't mind me being a little nervous my first time on stage. All right, let's get into it.
Humanity has always found, time and time again, that it has the capacity to transform profound ideas into actionable cutting-edge technology.
How are we going to make it real? How are we going to make it relevant? How are we going to build it responsibly?
I think everyone needs to really brush up on the skills of reality capture.
XR is going mainstream. The wait is over. We can do it all right now.
The Microsoft HoloLens 2 is still, in my opinion, the best device out there.
One of my dream projects in AR has been to have this time slider. You want to see how it looked 50 years ago. I was invited to participate in exactly that in Chinatown.
You can pick up your iPhone and you can create a beautiful Gaussian splat.
Everybody should be doing this.
In the future, kids will be taught visual literacy.
How do you all see the relationship between extended reality and reality capture evolving? Welcome to the 2025 Extended Reality Panel for the Built Environment. I'll be moderating today. A little bit about me. I got my start in commercial construction and went to school for business management and got out and got into the film industry of all things. And I ended up doing location logistics for Marvel, Paramount, Netflix, Apple, you name it. And through that experience, I got to be exposed to extended reality, and I instantly fell in love, specifically with augmented reality. Since then, I had started a podcast called Trending XR Podcast, and I did that so that I can learn from professionals in the field to get my start. And through that journey, I met Matthew, and Matthew invited me to come out and moderate this panel, which I was like, yes, I'm definitely in, I'll be there. So I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for having me. I'd like to start today with a quick quote. And that quote is, "Science fiction is having a hard time staying fiction." Throughout history, humans have imagined some truly wild concepts. No matter how crazy it sounded, we always found a way to put pen to paper, turn drawings into parts, and parts into working products. From spacecrafts to robotics, 3D data capture, BIM, digital twins, radiance field, AI, extended reality, humanity has always found, time and time again, that it has the capacity to transform profound ideas into actionable, cutting-edge technology. And right now, we're at the intersection of 2 of those great discoveries. The question is, how will we use reality capture and extended reality together to transform how we work and do business? And that's exactly what this incredible panel is going to discuss today. Before we dive in, I'd like to turn the stage over to all of them to briefly introduce themselves. If you'd like to start down there, Alex, we'll go with you. Work our way down.
Hi, I'm Alex Goldberg. I lead augmented reality for manufacturing and reality capture at Blue Origin. I've been passionate about spatial computing for about a decade now. Been fantasizing of these capabilities my entire life. I feel like it's becoming less science fiction, science fact. Have you? I like that quote that you just used. Super happy to be here and love all the presentations and the stimulating conversations that I have. So thanks.
Hi, my name is Dace Campbell. I am a licensed architect, and I've been in the AEC industry now for a few decades. Parallel to that, I've been in the XR space for really about 35 years. All things VR, AR, MR, XR, rated R, anything related to XR and AEC. That's where I forged my career, and absolutely happy to be here. Pleasure.
Hi, my name is Alejandro Mendoza. I hail from Colorado, where I work at a space startup called Aerospace. I also founded my own business called Engineered Reality. And in both ventures, I run extended and virtual reality, as well as data processing, dabble in some AI stuff as well. But overall, reality capture and XR is fundamental to my job.
Hi, my name is Merritt Thatcher. I'm the founder and CEO of Argyle. Argyle takes the building information models and overlays them on the job site for construction workers. So most of our companies are trade contractors and owners of big industrial manufacturing facilities. And I grew up in construction and playing video games, and I was a lawyer, and then I saw a really early HoloLens demonstration. I was like, where was this on my last litigation? And they were like, it's not quite real yet. So I spent the last 7-8 years of my life making what I saw in that demo reel for sites.
I'm Anthony Ellertson. I'm the founding director for the Games Interactive Media mobile program here at Boise State. We are going into our 11th year right now. I've been working with augmented reality all the way back to 2010. And then we started early on, actually our first year of the program, with virtual reality and custom haptics. And we had some recognition for that. We did it for the healthcare industry. And we kind of continue with that. So the program has a lot of that as a part of its mix in the curriculum.
Give it up to these panelists. These are some of the top leaders in this space. Hey everybody, I'm Orion Barr. I'm the CEO and co-founder of AWE. It's a conference dedicated to advancing XR, founded in 2010. I started my journey in XR in 2007, started a blog, and also discovered that there's this technology hidden in a few labs around the world that nobody has heard of, and it's amazing. So it became kind of my mission to help bring it to everyone, to the mainstream. So started the conference, started the startup, so later acquired by Apple, and also a fund to invest in some early stage XR companies. So in all these years, I've been mentoring hundreds and hundreds, almost I want to say thousands of XR startups, really kind of trying to help build this ecosystem and bring it to the mainstream. And if you listen to my presentation this morning, I think we are now entering the mainstream. So that part is already accomplished, but now is how are we going to make it real? How are we going to make it relevant? How are we going to build it responsibly? So that's kind of the mission for the next couple of decades.
Well, thank you all for giving us your intro. We got some pretty awesome guests here, yeah? And I'd like to open up with a question for Dace. Dace, so we're sitting in a room full of reality capture folks with a panel full of people who work in extended reality. What about these two technologies have brought us all together today?
Yeah, good question. So reality capture and XR are really complementary technologies, two sides of the same coin. Let's kind of roll back up a little bit. They kind of fall under a digital twin umbrella. And digital twins have been a topic that's been well covered here at the conference. Digital twins are a bit of a north star for digital transformation in the AEC industry in the built environment. And digital twins are really comprised of a lot of enabling technologies. Reality capture being one of them for the capture of physical data, enabling a digital experience of the physical environment. Whereas on the other side of the coin is XR for the consumption of that digital twin, and that's what gives a physical experience of the digital environment. So they really go hand in hand. One is for the creation of the digital twin, and one is for experiencing that digital twin in the real world. Now, inside of digital twins, XR has a plethora of use cases. Anything from marketing and differentiation for those that use it compared to those that don't, to client engagement and stakeholder engagement, design review, quality control on the job site, there's a whole host of use cases that, but all of it comes down to how XR is used in service of consuming that digital twin.
Sounds like it has a lot of use cases for the people in this room, and I'm pretty excited to kind of dive into some more of the details of what you guys do and some questions here that I have for you, so that we can kind of get into the nuts and bolts of all those things. Ori, I have a question for you. I think would be great to kick off with for you. You have had a front row seat to how AR and VR have evolved over the years. If you could pinpoint one trend or shift that's about to redefine the entire landscape in the next 2 years, what would it be, and why is it going to matter to everybody in this room?
So again, for those who missed my presentation this morning, the main story, of course, is that XR is going mainstream. It sounds maybe obvious to some of us, but in this industry, and especially when you talk about innovation, you always look for what's the next thing, what's coming up, and I'm waiting for this new headset, I'm waiting for this new technology. And my message is, the trend that I'm seeing is that it's here. We can build almost anything that we need right here with the current hardware and software. So the wait is over. The hardware is great and widely available. The tools have matured, and AI has made a lot of the hard work a lot easier. So the main message is, don't wait, get started. We can do it all right now.
Yes, now is the time. It's later in the speech. I have something for in the future. We don't have to really say that anymore, because everything's kind of here and it's ready for us to build inside of it and together. And I think that this next question for Alejandro ties in. You've brought XR and VR into the aerospace sector in some pretty groundbreaking ways. Could you share your story of deploying XR systems infrastructure at Aerospace?
Yeah, definitely. I think to preface, I am far, far from the first. There are many mentors in the industry that are amazing to look to converse with, and to learn from, so that implementations in aerospace are, fact-based, are ROI positive, and proven solutions. That being said, the scale of implementation always differs based on organization, and especially at Aerospace, we've taken the opportunity to do a whole lot with the resources that have been given to us. Everything from creating, I wouldn't go as far as saying digital twin, but a visual twin of the Dream Chaser spaceplane, which is finishing up integration at Kennedy Space Center right now. I myself donned a bunny suit and scooted my way through the inside of a spaceplane to do that. That was fun. And also experiences like building out human factors studies in a headset for former ISS astronauts. So really, to what you were saying, evaluation of physical spaces that are either currently have already been produced, like the Dream Chaser spaceplane, versus the Life Inflatable Habitat, which is an inflatable space station that's being designed. Really the visual aspect and storytelling and evaluation of design with that visual storytelling mechanism is absolutely critical to everything that we do.
Just want to add a quick history lesson that augmented reality, the term, was actually invented in the aerospace industry by Tom Codell in 1990. He was working on using AR, very crude, think about 1990, to help engineers kind of put the wiring inside a Boeing airplane. And at some point, he came up with this idea to call it augmented reality. But since then, it's been used, I think, probably in aerospace industry more than any other industry ever.
And Alex, I'd love to have you tie in on this, because you're with Blue Origin, and I have a question for you here as well. And then maybe you guys can riff a little bit on the space side of things in extended reality and reality capture. You're currently leading both the augmented reality for manufacturing and the reality capture programs at Blue Origin Emerging Technologies team. For years, you've been weaving XR solutions into the nuts and bolts of building space vehicles. Could you share an example of a breakthrough moment where XR turned a complex manufacturing challenge into something far more efficient?
Sure, I'd love to. I want to quickly touch on the way Ori was expanding on the background of augmented reality and aerospace, and there's such a rich history there. I remember I was at the VRX conference. Reuters news group used to do like XR conferences, similar to this one, in fact. And it was around 2017 or maybe 2016, and I met Shelley Peterson. She was a pioneer, and I think she was at Lockheed at the time, and she was describing, or he was referring to wrapping the wire through some kind of system. We call those harnesses. We call that routing a harness. And I was so blown away by the tools that she was using. And then later on, I met her at AWE, and we stand on the shoulders of these giants: Shelley Peterson, Tom Furness, the gentleman you mentioned at NASA, whose name I'm spacing.
Tom Cudell.
Yes. Yes, there's such a rich history, and I'm just honored to continue to carry that torch. All right, on to your question. Sort of a eureka moment where a complex challenge, something at Blue, and we just call Blue Origin Blue. Everyone at Blue does that. You can walk around the shop floor, and they are begging for AR solutions for virtually everything we are doing. You can build an AR solution to help us achieve our tasks. The guys that were wrapping the harness on a specific flight article, I can't get into details, and they keep us on a short leash with what I can talk about, so I have to be a little vague. These guys that were doing that, you can't have a laptop near it to see the reference material that are the instructions, essentially, that you're trying to follow. So there's one person wrapping the harness, installing the harness, and there's another person on a big screen TV with a mouse, and they're playing a game of telephone. And he's saying part dash, alphanumeric string that he's rattling out, and then he clicks on it, and they're all trying to figure out where it is. And I'm like, geez, you could just put that on a headset. You don't need to have the other person over there. And so we went on this one flight article from one person wrapping the harness to another person on the monitor to 3 people with HMDs and AR-enabled HMDs. So that was definitely a validation of the technology and a huge win for us at Blue.
Do you guys have specific question for you, if you can answer? Do you guys have some anything coming down the pipeline where you're going to keep applying AR or VR to the process there at Blue Origin?
Well, I'm trying to figure out what headset we're going to use right now, because a very popular one is being discontinued. I'll just say it, the Microsoft HoloLens 2. It is still, in my opinion, the best device out there. It's 6 years old now. It came out fall of 2019, which is unbelievable. But you have constraints on the shop floor. You can't have a pass-through environment like the Apple Vision Pro, where it's shooting video on the outside, playing it on the inside. That's called pass-through AR. Because if the battery died, you're in the dark, and you're around incredibly hazardous. You're in a hazardous environment. And you also can't have a tether to a puck. So the HL2, the HoloLens 2, really nailed it. Sure, there's limitations on field of view and other things like that. But for me to continue the program, for me to continue AR and an HMD, we are waiting for that next device. So that is a big deal. But we are continuing to use that in the meantime.
And Alejandra, is that for you guys? How are you guys experiencing the hardware side of things at Sierra?
Yeah, I think the pass-through issues definitely on everyone's mind. I've been on the floor actually at the Taylor production facility where the Dream Chaser was built in a HoloLens, and the safety guy pretty much ran up to me. He's like, "What are you doing? Is this approved?" And it's like, don't worry, I dotted my I's and crossed my T's. But actually, I find a lot of use in pass-through headsets because the opaque nature, the ability to overlay onto pass-through video, enables you a little bit higher fidelity in terms of visualizing meshes, whether they be scans of your hardware alongside converted CAD. And that's a great use case that we had been challenged to produce by a chief engineer who we put together a testing evaluation app, and what it was do we have the access that we think we do in order to perform the proper testing? And in short, the answer was more complicated than that, because even when we floated the CAD in all of its complexity, every single part down to the last fastener in front of the user, in headset, the chief engineer looked at it and he said immediately, how does this resemble reality? As built versus should be is a massive disparity that you have to rectify. So I got on a plane and went out and scanned the actual subject at Armstrong Test Facility. And we're then able to overlay the photogrammetry generated mesh on top of CAD, just fade in, fade out, and discern the differences in the harness routing, discern the differences in click bond placement. Answering that question visually was the most powerful answer that we could have come up with, instead of saying, oh, you know, it's pretty accurate. It's like we were able to show how accurate it was.
Yeah, that's
If I can, I think what you're starting to scratch at, though, is it really depends on the use case, right? I mean, I too lament the sunset of the HoloLens, the Magic Leap, but there is a wide range of devices and form factors inside of XR. I mean, there's smart glasses, which are coming a long way very fast. There are the pass-through headsets, which may or may not be able to replace what has been sunsetting, depending on the use case. There are immersive rooms like Igloo rooms that absolutely can satisfy design collaboration needs. Mm-hmm. There are pass-through mobile devices, tablets, phones. I mean, it really depends what you're trying to accomplish, where the business value lies. Does it need to be ruggedized? Does it need to? Are you trying to bring BIM to a job site? Are you trying to bring the job site back to the office? There's a myriad of ways this all comes together, and there are different form factors of devices made for each of those use cases.
I'm a massive advocate for WebXR for that same reason. Your solution should be completely agnostic. So I've run a meeting where we were reviewing a satellite. One person attended on their iPhone, and the 3D CAD, we were all avatars able to navigate the space independently of one another. Other person's in a headset, the other person's just sitting there on their laptop, and not a one of us are co-located. That's the magic that is at present we don't have to wait for, and that's why, that's how mainstream XR is right now.
I want to add on real quick to what Dace was saying regarding the proper tool for that. We do have these new devices coming out, and many of them do meet the needs. You don't always need a 6 DOF SLAM enabled 6 degrees of freedom SLAM simultaneous localization and mapping. You do not need hardware with those capabilities. You can right now leverage smart glasses. In fact, I'm splitting AR for M, the initiative, into the 6 DOF SLAM camp, and then what we're calling also AR, but assisted reality. And the guys in the shop floor can leave audio notes, dictate notes for later into the glasses. They could do closeout photos and shoot video, all with the glasses. And some of these glasses, like the Meta Ray-Ban displays that just went live today, and other technologies from companies like Brilliant Labs and Mentra, these other smart glass manufacturers. Jordan is another one. They're from Taiwan. You can leverage those technologies and make a lot of use out of those devices. So, yeah.
Yeah, Mary, I think you probably have some unique perspectives on the HoloLens sunsetting as well.
I mean, my perspective is unique in that I shed no tears about it being sunsetted. And I changed careers from being a lawyer, which was pretty stable and very nice in some ways, to XR because I saw HoloLens and I was like, this is happening and it's going to happen on the job site. That said, that was like in 2017. I started my company in 2019, just when the first HoloLens 2 came out. Maybe a year around then is when Magic Leap approached us to port our software from HoloLens to theirs. And I had this like moment where I was like, you've sold, what, 10 devices? I'm not porting my software to your hardware. But then my CTO did it anyway, and I put it on my head, and that is the #1 thing we sell today. It's crazy. So we're always planning for the next, right? I can't say we have any crystal ball as to which device will be the next. But for most of my customers, they need clear, true AR. Like on our construction environments, pass-through isn't working. I think there may be a cultural shift in the next 5 or 10 years, though. If pass-through AR stays the thing, I think construction will get on board because they're already using things like spotters. So.
Here they're using the buddy system, right? Where you basically put your hand on the shoulder of someone that actually has nothing on their face. So even if power goes out, they can still take the safety into.
Ori, they say they do it, but they don't really do it. Yes and no. So like I think there's best practices, and when you're on a job site, it can vary between like there's elevator shafts, and you can really actually die to sprain your ankle. Neither of these are great for liability, and Lawyer Merit says don't have any of them happen ever. So we took a lot of pains to make our augmented reality experience be transparent. So if you go upstairs, our stuff is default wireframe. You can bump up opacity. But yeah, mostly all of our design work has been planning for the obsolescence of whatever headset is happening. It's why it's taken 8 years instead of 2.
I don't know, Mary, like I guess piggybacking off of that, since you guys do a lot of builds for the AR space and construction, one of the promises of AR is its ability to reduce costly change orders, detect discrepancies between plans and the actual build, and even speed up design cycles. From your experience at Argyle, how have these capabilities been translating to real-world results, as well as maybe what are some of the most tricky challenges you guys have all faced?
Well, real-world results, we started for quality assurance. Like, is it there, is it not? We knew that would be a pretty easy thing to decide. Once I was on Magic Leap, though, we learned that we had basically a layout grade tool. With it, plus our alignment technology, folks were using this to do hanger layouts. So they'd shoot their points in a total station, but then they would extrapolate off those points. So each of these points takes 4 or 5 minutes to shoot, and if you've got 100 of them down a hallway, we're not having to shoot 100 points anymore. We're shooting 4, and then Argyle is used to extrapolate off of that. So just hours and hours of layout time saved. I think we estimated on that project over $400,000 increased time, like opportunity cost, because they were able to put their layout guys faster. Quality assurance is also just one of those really easy no-brainers, like, oh, that is not supposed to be there, or there is a missing embed, or there should be a hole in this concrete slab that isn't there, and we're going to have to drill it later if we don't, things like this. So those happen all the time, every ding-dang day. But the layout has been the most exciting piece, because I think that's where a lot of our productive time on site gets sort of frittered away.
Mary, do you get the requests for sort of X-ray vision? So after it's built, to figure out what's inside the walls based on models?
Yes and no. So the big companies who are investing a lot in their digital twin efforts are thinking along those lines. Not necessarily to see like what's behind the walls, but to be like, okay, what's the isometric of this unit, and like what's its metallurgy, and let's click into the metadata here. All that information is available in other formats, but the form factor of having a tablet, looking at the thing, and you click the thing is deliciously like what it always should have been. So that's exciting.
I want X-ray vision though.
Okay, well, for him, we'll do it.
Yeah, but I mean this X-ray vision use case. I mean, that's usually call it like the ultimate stud finder, right? That's really what it is. That is one of those marriage points between reality capture and XR. That's where this is going. Many contractors are scanning the job as they build the work. That's becoming a part of their as-built-in workflow for for documentation purposes, for turnover, for the owner to operate and maintain the building for the next 30, 50, whatever years. Once that data is collected, scanned, collected, and spatialized and locked down, it can be used with an XR device. It can be used to give you that X-ray vision, that ultimate stud finder. Absolutely, that's where this is going.
You know, one of the first demos of AR that I've seen in, I don't know, 2008 was called redlining. You guys know what it is? So when maintenance workers try to dig out a street to fix some plumbing under the street, in New York City where I live, it happens all the time. So how do they know where to dig? I mean, there are no really accurate plans that you can go by. So they literally mark the street with red. And that's how they know where to dig, but it's not always accurate. So this redlining project from, again, 2008 was providing X-ray vision. You can actually look at the street and see the plumbing underneath and in the different layers, the electricity, the water, and so on. And you would immediately understand how this can save not just money, but also lives in many cases.
Save lives for sure. It's actually what we're pushing for on orbit as well. So if we have sensor reading that maybe doesn't make sense, the idea is to go all the way back to the Gaussian splat that we created of the avionics rack and verify, okay, let's just make sure it's plugged in properly. Let's make sure that quality did sign off on that entire area. And after they did, they take another scan. But doing so and stacking those scans allows you to essentially rewind time into your assembly's past and verify at every step it was done correctly.
Yeah, that's like an incredibly useful power of extended reality, is being able to look into the past. And having the Gaussian splats is like a whole new thing that we could talk about as well, because that's getting married into the space with extended realities along with digital twins and such. Do you guys have any specific information or use cases on that you guys are maybe developing or looking into using those things together in the future for some pretty cool use cases?
We've done something along that lines. It's not construction related. It's close by here is the Anne Frank Memorial, and which is the only one of its kind in the country. And unfortunately, it gets attacked and has swastikas and whatnot put on it. And of course, the community's response to that has always been very quick, prompt, fast. It cleans the site back up, and it really what that site represents, it reaffirms Boise values. But we did a project a couple of years ago where we took AR and we showed where that vandalism had happened, right, as a way of preserving history on the site, so that even though, of course, it's all repaired, people can understand there's something. You spoke of time in a different way, but that people can understand that there's something that extends here that's both a physical act and also a kind of a memory. Yeah.
One of my dream projects in AR for many years has been to have this time slider where you walk on the street in New York City and you want to see how it looked 50 years ago, 80 years ago, 100, 10,000 years ago. And that was always kind of blowing my mind. And just last weekend, I was invited to participate in exactly that in Chinatown. A couple of kids basically created an AR experience where you walk around Chinatown and you can see how it looked 100 years ago. Yeah. Wow. So it's happening right now.
Yeah, there's some great examples of that. My friend Julia, she has a company, she has a concept called placemaking, and she's done installations of places that no longer exist that you can visit in AR. There's one it's actually in San Francisco's Tenderloin district, where you might not want to be walking around with your phone by yourself because it's kind of
more of a VR experience.
You definitely don't want to have a VR headset on walking around in that neighborhood. But you could see a jazz club from the 1920s. So it uses object detection inside of the application. Basically, object detection in AR means you look at an object, you're able to localize predicated on where that object is, and the rest of the scene is built off of that kind of localization. that occurs. And you could look at an old-timey jazz club, and she did a AIDS walk, a memorial AIDS walk in Seattle, all with this concept of placemaking, where you can also turn the clock back. Aspect of that is a different approach than placemaking, and also in the spirit of XR and AI is like we have VO3 and we have these video models now that can just do incredible AI video very quickly with people, and it's mind-blowing. So in theory, you could, and I urge somebody to go and build this, but I know it's totally capable, and I've seen hints of it. You could put a headset on and then leverage the AI to change the car in front of you to an old-timey car, put old-timey clothes on the people that are walking around you, remove pollution from the sky, or in some cases add more if that time period had it. So yeah, these are all neat things that we can execute sort of in the spirit of what we're talking about.
You know, I think as powerful as like going back in the past is, both for, you know, artistic purposes, professional purposes, it's also, XR is also equally powerful for pulling the future into the present. And that is, I'm pushing super hard at Aerospace to get technicians who will eventually be building the equipment that we're bidding on. We've not even won the contract yet. They're informing the design engineers. This design that you're making is manufacturable, testable, and we know because we've done it virtually. And with that, you're actually confirming not only your ability to bid properly on contracts, but also ensuring manufacturability so that you don't get bit in the future when you're under extreme cost and schedule pressure.
Well, that is, in fact, how, in the AEC industry, that is, in fact, how most XR is done. It's a future-looking, future kind of forecast. It's, you know, it's the architects looking at design intent in VR. It's those that bring the BIM out to the fab shop or out to the site. It's this kind of future-looking, how do we build the physical twin to match the digital twin we started with? Mm-hmm. And then after construction, there's this inversion. It's, did we get it right? Can we keep up the digital twin to kind of match that physical facility? But absolutely, most of the use cases are that kind of looking forward. You know, there is a design vision. Now let's go build towards it.
Also in urban planning, there's a company called In Situ, which has an app that helps communities react to planned buildings. So, you know, you go to this place, and usually the way they do it is, you know, the city would post plans in like some paper or some website that you have to go and you know, a normal person can't really understand what's going on there. But now with this app, you can go on site, you pull up your phone or even HoloLens, and you can actually see how this building is going to look like, and then community can react to it, and all of a sudden it opens this whole discussion to everyone out there to be involved in the urban planning.
Yeah, I've actually done some work, affiliate work with a company that is called Invis. They're out of Australia, and this is a VR experience that allows you to upload your 2D plans or your 3D model, and you can go walk through with your clients and see it at one-to-one scale on the site. I know Merritt's worked with a lot of stuff like this with seeing things on the site, and that's like so useful and such a great tool. And for them, they're already seeing like massive reductions in change orders. They just implemented an AI tool where you can walk through at one-to-one scale and ask the AI to re-render an image for you of what, like some style, like modern Hampton style. And it will then give you these renderings. So you could sit there and do design iterations with clients like on the spot. And it's just super useful use case of having that tool available to you. I'd like to switch gears into a question for you, Anthony. Given that there's some students here from Boise, what is the most important to you about the innovation space that you've been building at Boise State? And how do you see it influencing the next wave of developers who will be shaping the future of XR and reality capture?
Yeah, thanks. So the idea of GIM itself came out of like earlier field work that I'd done, watching professionals kind of cross disciplines, people coming from out of design, all of a sudden becoming programmers and vice versa. And when I got here, there was a lot of XR kind of buzz, and we did an early virtual reality project, and it was obvious from watching that was something that was going to definitely be part of what our curriculum was going to kind of embrace. And to my way of thinking too, like when I look at this and how this is kind of shaping itself, is that there's so many different areas that this is touching, right? Whether it's construction, medical, urban planning, so on and so forth. It's its own profession, or it seems like, I think it's its own profession. It's emerging as someone who kind of sits at the crossroads where all this comes from. And so we've been innovating in that space for quite some time. We've done a lot of work with both AR and VR. The things that we're starting to look at, and I had mentioned just in the back, I loved your presentation. We're also kind of thinking through as a part of the AI, XR, IoT. And so we're getting ready to kind of do a series of moonshots in the lab. I had a chance to talk with you too about this, where we want to basically allow, using a series of LiDAR sensors, high resolution cameras, bidirectional microphones, you name it, allow for our spaces to be better understood, and then connect an AI agent to them. Ideally, what I'd like to have, I mean, that's what we're going to shoot for by May, is if I have an object that I hold up in my room and I set it down, I want the room to understand that's that object, and it can associate whether visual displays on top of that object through an AR overlay or any other type of information that has to be provided. That's what we're going to shoot for. I feel that in the process of that, we'll probably fail a lot, because that's also part of it. But I think we're going to discover what is the shape of this thing I was describing. It's a new type of profession that is evolving, and what we're working on.
So Anthony, I mean, I agree with you. It's a profession you have to specialize in. But I would actually argue, I would love to see XR being taught in every department.
Yeah.
Because that's how you get it into the different verticals, the different use cases.
Sure.
Because
History class with those people standing there presenting it to you.
Yeah. We do work with the other disciplines. I think it requires like almost, just like we have a foundational writing class or mathematics class, you need something like that. Yeah, it's true. You're right. I agree with you. We'd be happy if that happened, as a matter of fact. But
Kevin Kelly, the co-founder of Wired, he wrote an article some time ago about kind of how AR is changing everything, and he said that in the future, kids will be taught at school visual literacy. That's how we call it, and it's basically the idea that, I mean, we're all our visual species, right? I mean, we constantly interact with the world visually, but when it comes to computing, we kind of, at least until now, we've been kind of hiding it. So we have to kind of open it up again. And today we're a society that everything is based on writing. And smartphones is all about, I mean, yes, there's photos, but it's mostly about writing. And it's important, but I think that if we use a lot more visual cues as a way to communicate, to convey information, we know that the brain actually absorbs visual information a lot faster than text.
Yes.
Right? When you have signs on the street, it doesn't say a lot of words. It has like one image, and you immediately get what it is. So I think at some point in the future we'll have to kind of start teaching that idea to everyone out there.
So be careful, Ori, because once you go to visual, you slingshot past that to spatial literacy.
Yes. Yeah.
And now you're starting to sound like an architect.
Nothing bad about that.
Well, to that end, I think everyone needs to really brush up on the skills of reality capture. If you are to, answer a question, what better way to do so visually and make sure that the story that you're trying to tell is captured in the absolute highest fidelity possible. I mean, it's wonderful because we have a lot of technologies that are, just coming to maturity so that you can pick up your iPhone and you can create a beautiful Gaussian splat, or, maybe leverage that lo-fi LiDAR sensor, or if you have higher fidelity LiDAR at your disposal, there's no end to what you can create to show someone.
I agree, and as a capacity builder, I think that you've hit the kind of the choking point right now. Is it is driven so much by hardware. It's hard for a university or for a program to have all that on hand, and to stay up with it, of course, because you were talking about how the obsolescence works. That's the challenge. It really is, and we have big hardware libraries in our lab, but they also turn over pretty quickly. So,
Thank you. Yeah, I think that like jumping off on that, I think it's just so important that the young kids are getting into this, because this is going to be their future. Like, they're going to be carrying the torch of this themselves, and it's really, really important that you guys are building these programs for them to get interested and get into it and start playing around with it and start to find really new and innovative ways to use it. And before we jump into some questions here, I'd love to finish with this question for you guys to all just openly. How do you all see the relationship between extended reality and reality capture evolving? Are we heading towards a future where XR becomes a primary interface for interacting with reality capture data?
So all of my AR scenes are built off of reality captures. So first we scan the space, or I'll scan the space, and then I bring that into a tool where I have a comprehensive understanding of that work cell or that area, and then I will build an AR scene on top of that. So there's a direct through line from reality capture to AR for me.
I think, like they said before, they're one and the same. You cannot separate them apart.
Right.
And because, like I said in the morning, XR is about interacting with the real world, and reality capture is creating, kind of recapturing or reconstructing the real world so you can actually interact with it in XR. So you cannot do one without the other. And I was kind of surprised, maybe even shocked, that so many companies here that work in reality capture and built environment do not even mention this idea of once you do all the process and you capture it and you add data to it and sensors and so on, there's like this last part that is missing, which is bringing it into spatial computing, so you can multiply the value, you can get a lot more out of it and make it truly spatial, pardon the pun.
So I'll use this opportunity then to put in a shameless plug for Cintu, who I work with. Cintu now has a virtual reality app that allows you to stream in high fidelity scan data at full resolution, the original resolution of the point cloud, as a mesh, stream the mesh to a headset. So you get a VR experience, full fidelity experience of your original scan. And while I'm quite proud to be working on that, I'm also a little bit ashamed that we're the only one that does it. Everybody should be doing this. And it's too bad we're an exception, because it really should be the norm in industry at this point.
Everyone good? Anything to add to that? Okay, we'll roll into some questions then. Thank you for submitting questions, everybody. I'm still reading through them. Give me one second here to pick out a...
I'm chomping at that first one.
What's that? You like the first one?
You know how good my vision is?
Well, I don't know how you read it.
Better than mine.
It's literally eyes on the back of your head, Merritt.
That's it.
Is the one by John here?
Yeah, XR is great, but there are limitations with accuracy, especially during construction. How do we increase the reliability of reducing drift, as in, you want your stuff to be where it's supposed to be? And then it goes on to, is this a hardware or software limitation? And it asks about creating locks to objects. So, John, find me after the show. We'll get really nerdy about this. But we actually built our experience alignment first, because we knew there's lots of different ways of looking at 3D content, and it's really not that important unless, for us, it was positioned correctly. So our patents are about the management of all of that data that's coming in a way that allows the user to walk through space. And you can go and read them. They'll keep you awake. And then the question is it a hardware or software limitation? This is a software limitation. From day one, when I was working with the HoloLens one, I knew this was something we could work around if we just were smart enough. I thought I would be smarter faster. It took a little bit longer. It took 8 years for us to get smart enough to really have, I'd say, very happy customers who comment to me repeatedly that yours doesn't have drift, and I don't know why. And I'm like, it's in the patents. Now, this idea of locking to objects is something we made a design choice to not do. In our software, we use coordinate position instead, because on a construction site, you might not have any objects to lock onto. Anyway, that's all.
I will put a +1 in for Argyle here. I've done some pretty good industry analysis of the various tools that in construction that support registration and alignment between virtual and in the real world, and Argyle is in a very rare class of being able to have rock solid registration and alignment. So.
Thank you.
You know, I'll add super quick to that. I'm not doing the kinds of the construction projects that Argyle is tasked to do, although we do have facilities org, and I think Argyle makes a fine product, and I am interested in exploring that for that. But for the model drift, just so everybody knows, when you look at an AR model, it doesn't stay in place. It'll have a little bit of drift, and back in the day, it used to drift quite majorly. Now I think there's an acceptable amount of like 1 to maybe 3 centimeters of drift on most models or something like that. And when you're embarking on a project, it's important to understand the constraints of your customer, the guys in the shop floor in my case, and enforce the location of the model by way of relocalizing with area targets and image markers. So understand the tolerances, and then when it comes close to surpassing that tolerance, have your other alignment marker. So that's the way I enforce it. A little bit different than construction. For a building, it's a construction of an object, but that's the way I handle that situation.
I've got a great question from Aiden Ricks that I think you guys will like fielding. What would it take for AR devices to be as widely used as the general public as smartphones are today?
Well, if I may. So, I mean, you've all seen the Meta Ray-Ban. With all they had is cameras and the ability to speak with it and kind of get answers from the AI. These have been selling like hotcakes in the last year. Over 1 million units have been sold. So, yeah, it's not hundreds of millions or billions of smartphones yet, but this is already a great step to kind of get into people's hands or faces. And again, this morning, a new Ray-Ban display was launched basically for sale, and that adds already a screen or display. So it's kind of adding features one by one. The glasses look like regular glasses, so there's no fashion barrier. It's not heavy or anything. So I think you add step by. I think in that sense, I really give Meta a lot of kudos for that, because they're doing it in the right way, kind of starting from something really simple that is acceptable by everyone, and then adding feature by feature until all of a sudden, hey, it's full-featured AR, and it can do all the things that the Vision Pro and the Quest are doing in a much smaller form factor.
It's coming. Ori, when do you think we will see stereoscopic, SLAM-enabled, 6 DoF, lightweight, looks like Meta Ray-Ban glasses? Come on, give me your. I'm done.
So I vowed that I will never predict the answer.
You did vow that earlier today, but I'm still asking the question. Apologies.
I'll answer
Not going to get it out of me.
2 to 20 years.
2 to 20. Sounds about right. Yeah.
I think in 5.
I think we'll see sub 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's always 5 years away.
We'll look back at this and laugh. Maybe we'll
5
see.
years away in XR.
Although Ori, I want to prompt you to amend your answer, because 100% you're right. But the mobile devices we have do so many things. I mean, the value is there because they are cameras, they are video recorders, They are, access to the internet,
LiDAR.
on and on and on and on and on. Right now, the glasses have fairly limited number of things you can do with them. I think what's going to happen, though, is AI is becoming wearable. And once AI becomes wearable, I think that will be a tipping point. So I'm prompting you because I know you've got an XR plus AI answer inside that they're waiting to come out.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, and actually, it was interesting, the TED Talk where Google introduced their new glasses, kind of similar to the Meta Ray-Ban display. It's a researcher that has been working on AR for like 25 or 30 years. And he said on stage that he was working on this for many years, but he never believed that the guys in the next laboratory that were working on AI would actually make his glasses more popular. And they were working on AI. So the new glasses from Google as well their big appeal is the AI. That's why people will buy them. But then once you get them, you start using the XR more and more, and you realize the value of that. So yeah, I think it's really about the fact that XR will ride the AI dark horse all the way to the mainstream. But also AI itself will benefit a lot from XR because AI has mastered language. They've trained their models on all the information on the internet, and it's kind of running out of content. And in order to continue to get smarter, to be relevant to reality, to our daily lives, to our work, it needs access to the real world, and XR delivers exactly that. Whether it's through the cameras that you wear, or the sound, or even when you touch things, it gives some information to AI. It can learn about the real world, how people operate the world, and that knowledge can be captured and then used on the AI side, but only if XR is there.
There's something else I want to mention. I don't think it was touched on at all today, and that is with AR glasses or with any HMD, especially the lighter weight assisted reality form factor that I was talking about. You can capture video of people completing tasks. And when you are doing that, what you are actually doing, one of the things you're doing is you're providing all the data for a humanoid robot to re-execute that task. So this is an important period that we're at for being able to capture task information and then be able to translate that to a robotic humanoid executing that task. So
that question actually
important.
just came in. Where do
Really?
humanoid robotics intersect with XR technology?
Well, hey, I was channeling that.
I'm super excited for AR. That's personally my favorite part of the technology. I think that it offers so many added benefits to our lives in ways that we've never experienced before. So we're going to be able to do things in ways that humans never have. And I think it's so neat that we'll be able to go from a face down, staring at our phones culture to a face up and interacting hopefully with each other more in our environment more in really, really interesting ways. And it really has no cap. The cap is human imagination, which, as we know, really has very little limits. So I think that's probably the coolest part of the tech at this, for me, at this current moment. I think we have time for maybe one more question here. And I think it's a really important question. How is this technology being used for people with disabilities or in hospitals? Can it improve quality of life?
There's some really fascinating examples of glasses, AR glasses for blind people. And it sounds counterintuitive, but actually, most of people that are legally blind can still see, but not well, right? So there's a lot of use cases, a lot of actual glasses that use cameras to detect the world, kind of detect the edges, a little bit like, in Argyle, and then kind of emphasize it for these people so that they walk around and all of a sudden they can actually avoid bumping into walls and things like that. So that's kind of one amazing example that is becoming pretty popular.
Yeah, and for deaf people as well, having live translation for them, so it's heads up right here. They can be more interactive with the person they're talking to instead of trying to stare at their lips the whole time. And I think that that's such a quality of life improvement for people who are deaf as well.
I would extend this though, and maybe bring it back to more of the kind of built environment AEC context. So many professionals in AEC, specifically design professionals, but on the construction side too, are spatially literate. We know how to read drawings, we know how to create drawings, we can reinflate that abstraction to envision what that design intent is. So many lay people, so many clients, so many critical project stakeholders can't do that. So they have, relative to the design professional, they have a disability. I mean, I'm stretching the definition of disability a little bit, but here is where XR shines. It allows people to understand things visually, spatially, viscerally, that was just an abstraction of lines on paper that they really didn't get an understanding of. So this is right at the heart of the value prop of XR in our industry. It's giving people that power to really understand that vision for what's about to come.
We learn better from seeing and doing with our hands. I think that's another superpower for extended reality. We could do one more question here if you guys would like. Oh, you guys are pumping them in. Well, let's see. One more question.
Can jump onto medical. I mean, it's not exactly built environment, but it's actually one of the first use cases in AR has been in healthcare. And it's kind of going back to the X-ray vision aspect. So again, we're talking about 25 years ago. People already some researchers understood the potential here for, we have all these imaging, whether it's actual X-rays or MRIs of patients. And doctor or surgeon, they need to look at the MRI or the X-ray and then look at the patient, and they never can really align it properly, only in their heads. And a lot of mistakes happen. So what some of these researchers started doing so many years ago is to try to align those on the patient, so you can see how the bones look, or maybe, God forbid, if there's a tumor you have to remove, how do you make sure you kind of simulate exactly where the tumor is, so you remove only what's needed and nothing beyond that. So that's been in the works for over 20 years now, and it keeps improving all the time. So yeah, healthcare is definitely one of the top 5 verticals that has been using XR in the past couple of years.
That same mentality, that same example extends to the built environment. In manufacturing and in construction, there's this need to bring the data into the point of action where it matters the most.
Exactly.
Well, all right, I think that is all the time that we have. Thank you so much to our panelists. If we can give them an excellent round of applause for giving us some great info today, please.